The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! 1, 2, 3, 4! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the West Ham Massive. Thank you for joining us, and please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and hit the bell icon and click all for alerts of new content. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavour. And a little bit of housekeeping. I know, well, it's not quite past the watershed, but let's get this little bit out the way. If adult language offends, abandon ship all ye who enter here. Just sort of like get out of here, because we might drop the odd curse word, and if it's gonna offend you, fuck off. Right, we're here to discuss FA Cup third round, West Ham United, Bristol City, London Stadium. What could possibly go wrong? I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Charlie Woodgate. How are you, sir?
All good, my friend. All good. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Right, okay, let's get down to it. And guys, keep an eye on the ticker. It will change intermittently with certain bits of information, such as the officials. Okay, so let's get down to it. And guys, join in as we go along with the questions that I'm going to ask Charlie. Give us your thoughts, and I'll get as many of them up on the screen as possible. So, Charlie, I've brought you on here because you, I know, have an encyclopedic knowledge of the EFL Championship, and specifically Bristol City as well. Quite fortuitous for me, isn't it? So
I'm not sure I have an encyclopedic knowledge of West Ham, let alone Bristol City.
Give me your thoughts on the opposition this season, if you have any.
Yeah, well, until about 2 hours ago, I don't think I had any thoughts on Bristol City for about the last 10 years. But a little bit of research. I did see that they lost to Millwall at the weekend.
Yeah,
I tend to keep an eye on the Millwall results just because a few family members are that way inclined.
Yeah.
Shame on them, but so be it. So if they're losing to Millwall, we shouldn't be particularly worried. But you know what our record's like in the cup against lower league teams. We do love an upset and not doing one. So yeah, no, bit of a middle of the road team. Obviously had some decent results recently. Obviously, it wasn't too long ago, I believe, that they brought in ex West Ham academy coach Liam Manning to be their new manager after Nigel Pearson, I think was correct.
Yeah, I believe so.
So they're obviously going in a bit of a different direction to the old Nigel Pearson, probably David Moyes-like style, and tend to be playing a little bit more possession-based football these days.
High-intensity game, I believe. Sort of like they're quite a sort of heavy pressing team.
Yeah, I think that's judging by their results, and it is only on the face of the results. I'm not going to pretend to have seen any Bristol City games, but they seem very streaky and hit and miss. They seem to go on a run of games without a win, and then a run of games with a win. Had some dodgy results in the last couple of weeks. I think they drew to Wayne Rooney's Birmingham, who everyone beat from what it looked like. So possibly not a great result there. And obviously lost to Millwall at the weekend, who I know not pulling up any trees in the Championship this season. and they've already sacked one of their managers this season, I believe. So very, very middle of the road team in the Championship. They don't have one of the biggest budgets, but they certainly don't have one of the smallest budgets, and obviously had a bit of a windfall in the last transfer window, selling Alex Scott for quite a decent fee. I can't remember what it was, 10, 15 million, something like that, to Bournemouth. So there's a bit of money about. I think they're probably looking to get towards those playoff spots either this season or next season. But in terms of detailed knowledge of their players, apart from looking at a few that have sort of been in the Premier League previously, and as we just spoke about off camera, one Premier League winner in their squad, it seems to be a squad of, it's either old age pensioners or children. A lot of it seems to be. It's like nursery home meets nursing home with a couple of carers in there in the middle just to keep things ticking along. But I think they've got the likes of Naki Wells, who's been around for seems like donkey's years. Vyman was obviously at Villa a long time ago. I thought Andy King was in his 30s when he was at Leicester, but that was about 10 years ago as well. So they've got some experience in their team, put it that way.
Yeah, Naki Wells is a name that's familiar to me. As you mentioned, Andy King, Matty James is another one that is familiar to me. But there's also a lot of names that I'm looking here on their squad. I'm like, no, sorry, with all due respect, I've never heard of this guy. Jason Knight's not a guy that I've heard of because he was at Derby County.
Yeah, we was linked with him, wasn't we, at one point?
We was linked with him, and there was two others. There was three Derby County players that when Rooney was there, when they got deducted the points and they went down to League One, there was three players that we were linked with, and he was one of them. Ken, I know you're watching, and you mentioned that bit about a bit about the Bristol City players. Please feel free to sort of jump in with any comments and any little pieces of information. The more the merrier, mate. But yeah, there's some names there that I recognise. You mentioned Andy Vyman. I remember him from his Villa days. Decent enough player in the Premier League, but probably not sort of top level.
And a long time ago.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, he's 32 years of age now. So and he's probably playing at the level that he's really sort of like that's his capability now, Championship level. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. Look, at the end of the day, if you're a Championship player, you're playing at a very good level of football. You're playing at a better level of football than I fucking manage. So, what can I say?
Doesn't seem like there's a lot of goals in their team. I will say that. I'd look at beforehand, and I think their top scorer for the Cup, obviously not the FA Cup, having already just entered it last round, but for the Cups, EFL Cup and League this season, I think their top scorer has got 5 or 6 goals, and I think they've maybe got 2 or 3 players with 5 goals, and then the rest have got 1 or 2 between them, and it doesn't seem like there's loads of goals flowing through that team, which gives me hope that we shouldn't be conceding 3 tomorrow like we've done to Wimbledon and Oxford and whoever else. I can't remember, but yeah, maybe they'll get a goal, but I think we should be able to score a couple more, hopefully.
Who from that list of players, and I appreciate there's got to be players there you've got no real knowledge of, but from what you can see, what you know, do you have a player there that jumps off the page at you and you think that's their key guy?
Yeah, when I watched a video earlier, and a guy at Bristol City fan was talking about their team and was saying that one of their star players, I think it's Mehmeti, is actually not going to be available for this game due to injury. So he was a bit disappointed by that, but so that could be an interesting piece of luck for ourselves.
Yeah.
I think Jason Knight is probably the one. I know they've got a couple of young strikers that they keep sort of interchanging. This Tommy Conway, I think he was their top scorer when I looked.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Conway, Jason Knight, they're probably going to be your two star players. I think they're centre backs when I looked, and I'll throw all my cards on the table here. Some of the extent of my research was opening up Football Manager and having a look at all the attributes on there. But it's a pretty good database. It's worked for a lot of clubs over the years, and actually was quite surprised by how that database rated the quality of their centre backs. Actually, so that could be a tough test for what may or may not be a weekend 11 from West Ham. We'll get onto what we think that should be later, but I think it's likely we're going to see some rotated players and some squad players just through the fact that we haven't got anyone else left that's not either flown away to a different country or injured or whatever. So yeah, if the two centre backs are of any sort of quality like that game suggests they might be, then we could be in for a tough old afternoon.
Just got Kent's little input here. Nemeti, and he references Rob Dickey and Mark Sykes. And so I'm just going to sort of go through. I've got some team news here before we move on to the next question that I normally kick out. Let's get into the team news. So as far as we're concerned, some players that we know are definitely not going to be taking to the pitch tomorrow afternoon. We know that Mohamed Kudus is at the AFCON, and so is Naya Fagur. Thilo Kehra's completed his loan deal to Monaco. And as far as injuries are concerned, Lucas Paquetá with a knee injury, Michail Antonio, who we're hearing has re-injured his knee, so that's put his return date back, and that's him not going to be involved for the entire month of January, but we'll see. Is it smoke and mirrors with David Moyes? You never know. But he's got a knee injury, which we already knew about. Kurt Zuma's got a knee injury. Vladimir Soufal's had an illness, and they're going to be assessed today, according to this article that I'm reading, to determine their availability. Not quite sure we're going to see 3 out of the 4. I think possibly we might see one of them, but which one? I'm sort of leaning towards we're probably going to see Soufal, or Zuma. I don't think we'll see both of them, in all honesty.
If we're getting to the point where we're playing mind games and smoke and mirrors with Bristol City at home, I think we're a little bit worried. I'd be very surprised if it was smoke and mirrors with Antonio. It's as we know, when he got injured 2 months ago, it was supposed to be 2 weeks. So I'm hearing today that his injury's been put back another 2 weeks. So that'll probably be March before he's seen, based on the recent track record.
Yeah, won't stop him doing his fucking podcast, but that's another story. As for Bristol City, no players involved in AFCON or Asian Cup duty this month. So as far as that's concerned, that's not a hindrance to them. However, they lost Mark Sykes for a few weeks. He picked up a hamstring injury against Millwall in that 1-0 defeat. Kai Naismith has got a similar injury. Rob Atkinson, Ayman Benarous, they're on the way back from ACL injuries. Ross McCrory, he's had a bacterial infection and he had an operation off of the back of that. And he's building up his fitness with the under-21s, but it's very unlikely he's going to be involved. But Hayden Roberts is back in training. He had a bit of an ankle knock. He should be back within the next couple of weeks, but again, probably not going to be available for the game tomorrow. They have actually signed a player already in the January transfer, according to this article, Adam Murphy, an 18-year-old Irish midfielder from St. Patrick's Athletic. So let's move on. Next question I'm going to ask. Who's the West Ham player that will be key to a positive result, in your opinion?
Well, based on that question, I think that would have to be based upon my suggested lineup. So I'm probably going to give it away who's not in my lineup.
Well, we'll do the next question straight off of the back of that.
Sure. Well, I think my key player will end up being a Ben Rama or a Maxwell Cornet from my lineup. But in terms of what my starting 11 will be, I don't like it. I don't like the formation. I don't like the players. But I think based on the fact that our squad depth is limited, to say the least, there's particular players that I want to wrap up in cotton wool, essentially. And it's not fatigue. We've probably had more rest than anyone else in English football over the last few weeks, it seems, for the first time in 3 years. So it's not a fatigue issue. It's not trying to stop key players having too many minutes. It's more a case of this is going to be a championship team that are right up for it. 9,000 fans backing them at the London Stadium tomorrow. They're going to be like a lot of excitable.
A lot of cider will be sunk.
Yeah, they're going to be up for it. They're going to be excitable. They're going to be not afraid to put in challenges. I'm not worried about someone pulling a muscle because they're over fatigued. I'm worried about someone going 2-footed through Jared Bowen, or a lot of our players like a battle. Alvarez, Paqueta, they all like a battle. That might not be a good thing tomorrow in long term. And it's funny because I was on a video probably 3 or 4 years ago arguing exactly against the point of the suggested lineup I'm going to make now, saying it should be the strongest possible lineup. We should go for the FA Cup. But I think I'm still got a bit of a hangover from Anfield away a few weeks ago. If we're going to come up against a Man City away or Man United away or a Liverpool away and we're just going to throw it, and what's the fucking point of risking things in the third round? Maybe if we're getting a few rounds deep, I'll start to prioritise the FA Cup a little bit more. But we're going really well in the league at the moment. We're going well in Europe, obviously not playing until March, so it's not exactly pressing at this point. But could you imagine if we play key players tomorrow and someone breaks Emerson's leg and he's out for the season, and we're stuck with Creswell or whoever? And that's the kind of rationale behind the team I've suggested. It's, as I say, it's not fatigue protecting from. It's we can't afford to lose certain key players due to the lack of squad depth. So, do you want me to run through my 11?
Please do.
I would go tomorrow. Fabianski in goal, cup goalkeeper. Not much to be said there. Soufal, right back. Not played recently. Been ill. Assuming he's back, obviously. Also, not necessarily a key player for the rest of the season. If he's injured, gets injured, I think there's options there that we could bring Mavropanos or Johnson in at right back. I'm not too worried there. I'd then stick with Mavropanos and Ogbonna at centre back. I think it's a centre back partnership that has surprised the hell out of me over the last few weeks. It's solid, and again, probably not my first choice centre backs in a month's time when Odegaard's back. I would then go Johnson at left back because I don't think Creswell's an option. He wants to leave. Let's just get rid of him in January. He doesn't want to be here. David Moyes isn't probably going to play him. We don't really want him. I don't. It seems harsh about a player. Yeah, it's a shame it's come to that. It seems harsh to talk about players being in 9 years like that, but I don't think we're going to sign a fullback this window. I can't see in any way, shape, or form that we sign a fullback this window. So if we're not going to sign a fullback, we needed a backup option to Emerson on the left. And when I say backup option, a barely usable one in Johnson potentially, but better than Creswell. So let's try it. Let's try Ben Johnson at left back, see if he can be a stopgap there for 6 months as a reserve. Alvarez, I want nowhere near this game, just because without Alvarez, we're fucked in that centre of midfield. If someone goes through Alvarez and he ain't got one to shirk away from a tackle himself, we're screwed in that centre of midfield. So I would go centre midfield of Souček and Fornals. Don't even like it as I'm saying it. I would then go Cornet on the left, Ben Rama on the right, so you can see where I'm going with this. And I'm one against, or who goes against the 4-4-2 in the modern game most of the time, but it's just what we've got left with the players. So it's a bit of a 4-4-2, left and right wingers with Cornet and Ben Rama, with Ings and Mabama up front, which obviously means Jared Bowen's not in the team, Emerson's not in the team, Zuma's not in the team, Paqueta, Alvarez, and I think they're all our key players. I wouldn't necessarily say James Ward-Prowse is as key and as crucial to them as them, But just because of the lack of depth in centre midfield that we've got, I think he probably does become that crucial. Connor Coventry hasn't proved himself at League One level, so I don't really want to throw him in against a Championship team. So I'm kind of just putting the pieces together of a puzzle that, based on what I don't want to use, more so than anything
Charlton
else.
are after him.
Yeah, probably be a good move.
Hmm.
Let him go. What's the point? I know it's a homegrown tick box for Europe, but
Yes.
we might as well just leave the squad space empty, because it's exactly the same as having kind of Coventry around. He's not going to use him.
No.
So yeah, that's the team I'd go with, and as I say, it's not one I particularly like myself. I don't like rotating for the FA Cup. I want to go for trophies, but it was going to be Antonio. It would have been Antonio and Mabama up front, but that's no longer an option apparently. So unless you're going to throw two kids in there and have Marshall up front, not for me. I'll have him on the bench if we go a couple of goals up or something like that. Chuck him on, give him some minutes, but yeah, I've got Ings and Mabama up front.
Right. Well, I'm sure that's caused a little bit of consternation out there in YouTube world, but I can understand your thinking behind it. There's a method to the madness. Whether I agree with it entirely or not is another matter. And I'm guessing, like I say, there'll be plenty of people that will be going, "You're out of your fucking mind." But then there'll be other people out there that will go, "I can see what you're doing there." And
I would have said I was out of my mind
track.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was on the other side of it, so I can understand it. And I think against these teams, there's two ways of doing it. You either put your best team out, try and get 2 or 3 up, and then substitute them as quickly as possible. But even in that scenario, it's going to be 60, 70, 80 minutes, especially with David Moyes, before those key players are coming off. So you then, as I say, it's not fatigue. You're then out there for 70 minutes where there's a chance of an injury. So there's either that way, or my way is try and put a team out there that should be strong enough. Realistically, of that team, I think 8, 9 start for Bristol City in the Championship, at least. I mean, there's an argument you could say all 11 probably, but that team should be good enough to beat Bristol City. Whether it is or not, we'll see, I guess, or maybe we won't.
What's your score prediction? And you guys in the live chat get stuck into this one as well.
It's a tough one because I think the atmosphere is going to be an interesting one. I think I saw today that we've sold out the home end as well. Which
probably
is
a lot of Bristol City fans there.
Probably, yeah. There's a sold out crowd. I think the home end's going to be pretty quiet and definitely outsold by the 8,000 or 9,000 Bristol City fans.
Happens a lot.
Yeah. But I think Moyes will go stronger than my team. So, given that, I think it'll be a 2-0 win. 2-0 win West Ham.
I think I'd even just take progression, however it comes. I think I'd even accept a penalty shootout win, because I know it goes to a replay, doesn't it?
Third round.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not sure we want to go back to Ashton Gate.
Yeah, probably I'd just get it done in 90. And I don't really care how it comes. For me, cup football is all about progression. It's not about playing pretty football. It's not about, fancy flicks and tricks and skills and looking good on the eye. This is just literally get in the hat for the 4th round, and it doesn't matter how it comes. So if it's a scruffy 1-0 win, I'll take it. Not a problem.
Yeah, as you say, in the hat is in the hat, whether it's a nicest 5-0 win possible or a scrappy 1-0 off someone's backside. Doesn't matter.
Maidstone, home or away?
Yeah, I think I'd love to see. I'd love to
why.
get Maidstone away. I'm not sure. Maidstone at home. God, can you imagine that stadium? There would literally be more Maidstone fans than there would be West Ham fans. Like, the whole town of Maidstone would come down and get 10,000 in the away end, and then no fucker will turn up from our side.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Mm,
right.
who
Okay.
knows?
Anything else you want to get off your chest before we knock it on the head?
No, not in relation to the Bristol City game. I don't think. I don't know too much about them.
No, me
I
neither.
don't think many of us do. To be fair,
No.
apart from Kent.
No. Kent will be sort of fairly genned up on them. I'll be perfectly honest. I probably don't watch as much of. Well, I know I don't watch as much of the Championship as Kent watches. Kent's quite an avid follower of football at various levels. I don't regrettably have that much available time with a family and the job that I do and all of the other places I've got to spin. You know, it's hard enough trying to sort of watch West Ham and Premier League football and European football to try and sort of scrub up, sort of like and make it look like I know what I'm fucking doing when I get in front of the webcam and do this shit. So when it comes when we get drawn against Lincoln City or Bristol City, I'm going, oh fuck.
What now? Yeah, well, that
They're gonna know that I know fuck all. It's got to be obvious.
yeah, we can't know everything about every team in the cup, can you? I sort of Villa got their first win since 2016 in the first win in the FA Cup since 2016 today. So for a Premier League team to not get past the third round in 7 years or 6 years, I suppose, is just mental. But so if they can have a record like that, maybe it's not too bad for us. But look, it's going to be a tough game. They're going to be up for it. It's going to probably fair to say it's their biggest game of the season?
Oh yeah,
they're not going down. They're very unlikely to get the playoffs. So I don't know if they had a good cup draw in the EFL Cup this season. I know they've had a couple previously, but I'm not sure this season. So I think this is probably their biggest game of the season and the game that the players and the fans are going to be most up for. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
yeah. Just one final piece of information I will just put out there. In our last 6 matches, we have 4 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat. Bristol City's form in the same sequence is 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. But albeit the bulk of that is against Championship opposition, ladies and gentlemen. So
have they conceded 5 goals in any of their last 6 games?
I'll tell you what. Well, since you've asked the question, let me have a look.
They probably didn't concede 10 goals in 2 games. Put it that way.
No, I'm looking. No, there's not a 5 amongst this lot. I think the worst they've shipped was 2 goals against Hull City when they won 3-2 at Ashton Gate on the 22nd of December. So, yeah, mind you, I mean, one of the results you sometimes get some weird results happening on Boxing Day, don't you? Watford 1, Bristol City 4.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Although Watford are not putting up any trees this season, are they?
No, that is true. That is
basket case of a club if I've ever seen one. Definitely.
But as I say, it's all about just getting in the hat for the next round. Doesn't matter how we do it. Doesn't matter if it looks pretty. Doesn't matter if it's scruffy. It's just about getting in the draw.
Do we know when the draw is? Is it after the game or?
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Did it before last time, didn't they? They did it like lunchtime on a Sunday because it was just before we played. We ended up going up. I can't remember who the game was. I was going up to the game. And on the train, and someone says, "Oh, we got Bristol City in the cup." I was like, "I didn't even know the draw was on."
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to be honest. I haven't. Excuse me. I haven't even looked into that, to be perfectly honest. But I would imagine that it's probably going to be after the game tomorrow. Or
Liverpool Arsenal tomorrow, is it?
Yeah, I think
so. It'd probably be after that game, won't it?
At least make a big song and dance about it.
I guess we've got to hope Arsenal win that game because we can't beat Liverpool and we beat Arsenal every time we play them. So
that is true.
Let's hope Arsenal get through.
Absolutely. Right, guys, that's where we're going to leave it. So thanks for joining us. And as we always ask you to do, please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you hit the bell icon and click all for alerts on new content. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavour. Thanks for joining us, like I say, and we will see you for the Bristol City review, which I'm guessing will probably be Monday evening there or thereabouts. So join us for that. Come on, you Irons, and please don't forget to give your support to the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity, and we will see you next time. Take care.
The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.